Hey everybody, I'm back wrapping up my review of Batman Brave and the Bold Season 3. Before we continue, please do me a huge favor and like this video. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think of the Brave and the Bold series. Whew, it's been a long journey. I Starting this this past summer, I'm pretty sure it had to be in the summertime or late spring at the earliest, that I started this Batman TV show journey from the animated series, Batman Beyond, The Batman, now Brave and the Bold. And God, I've been absorbing a lot of Batman lately. Now, I didn't cover every Batman show ever. Like, I didn't do Beware the Batman, which I think only had like one season. But maybe some point in the future I'll get to that. But yeah, right after this I'll be getting right into My Hero Academia. I already did season 1, which is up on my YouTube channel, but I want to get right back into some anime. Because again, I got into reviewing like all this Batman stuff because I kind of wanted to get a break from anime for a minute, but now I'm going back into it now. So yeah. So season 3, Brave and the Bold, I can easily just say, and I don't think it's that controversial, but I think season 3 was the lackluster of the 3 season. But it's still not terrible. But they're half of the episodes. I honestly kind of, you know, I won't say tune out, but I was just like, it just wasn't for me. It's kind of like a wasted episode. Maybe because behind the scenes, and this is just my speculation, they knew that this is gonna be their final season, but so that's why they feel like they're just kind of tightening up as much as possible. Not like it's like crunch time and we gotta roll some stuff out, but I get the same feeling as I did with the Batman in its final season, where they're just trying to like kind of throw some stuff in, and they usually have some type of overarching thing tied to it, but this particular one does not, unless you count the fact that they're bringing in Justice League International, and now they added in Superman and Wonder Woman because they kind of had to, because they push it off long enough, so they have to make sure they threw those in. And matter of fact, those particular episodes with Wonder Woman and Superman are honestly my favorite ones. There was no overarching kind of thing. Like season 1, he had Equinox trying to behind the scenes trying to force like perfect balance of the universe. Then in season 2, then you also got the whole thing with like the crime syndicate, and then in season 2 you got Starro. So it's like I kind of want another one of those. Like, can we get a return of like some like Dark Side? You don't have one episode with the whole Dark Side situation. It'd be great to get like that turned back around, where you get every hero that we've seen from season 1 to the 3rd season all involved, and to take down this ultimate big bad, now coming back with even a bigger force than before. Matter of fact, as fun as that episode was, it seemed so like quick. Well, I won't say quick. It was technically a 2-parter, but I don't know. It's like something like Darkseid isn't relegated to just like a handful of heroes. Uh, the Justice League are technically a handful of heroes, but you know what I mean. It's like as all these heroes you introduce in this show. Like, let me like just pull this up because they had like a lot of heroes involved here. So yeah, Batman, uh, Joker, uh, yeah, Batman, Joker, uh, uh, Green Lantern, both Guy Garner and Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan shows up here too. All the Flashes, uh, 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 Captain Marvel, Shazam, OMAC, uh, uh, Starman. Oh well, let's go with the Justice Society because that show up a lot throughout the series. Red Tornado, um, the uh, the Metal Men, uh, Aquaman, Black Adam. It was fun to see him return. Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes, Plastic Man, the Ray, Green Arrow, uh, Huntress, Robin, um, Phantom Stranger, the Spectre, like I said, the Justice Society member, uh, the Doom Patrol, but they kind of died, but you can easily bring them back. Big Barda, Mr. Miracle, Hawk and Dove, Doctor Fate, Zatanna, I'm about to say Gentleman Ghost, uh, Hawkman, like I said, Justice Society, uh, um, Superman, Wonder Woman. It's fun to see like Tornado Champion come back, but that's technically a villain. Uh, like I said, all the Flashes, Space Ghost, because he had a little teaser episode. Um, Geoforce, Batmite can have like a thing here because the episode he's involved in this particular episode was, the final episode, kind of probably the lamest one out of the entire series, in my personal opinion. Kind of like a waste of Batmite. The Atom, Booster Gold, Star Sapphire. I mean, she's been both hero and villain before. Uh, Vixen, Adam Strange, Firestorm, Etrigan the Demon, Bat Hound, uh, Rip Hunter, Captain Atom, well, the Marvel family. I got like Shazam and Black Adam, but the rest of the Marvel family too. Black Canary, um, Elongated Man, Steve Trevor, uh, Catwoman technically, but it's Brave and the Bold era, so she should still be a villain. But um, Katana, The Question, Martian Manhunter, uh, Black Lightning, Metamorpho, Mira, um, uh, Stargirl, Bullet Man. I think he's Justice Society too. I think. Um, Speedy, or most people would know him as Arsenal. Um, oh, crap. Uncle Sam and his Freedom Fighters. Yeah, just yeah. There's been like a lot of people involved. Detective Chimp. Uh, it's just been a lot of heroes involved. Aqualad, Bronze Tiger. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure you know I got them all. Yeah. So get all those heroes that I just listed, all of them that we've got and had these mini adventures and bigger adventures with, all involved into this overarching season. Because it seems like kind of like a waste. Like you got Joker Violin the Villainous, where he is pretty much like a reverse, like his point of view, and he's like the main lead trying to take down Batman, who's building like a crime prevention machine, uh like a Minority Report kind of situation. And it's like you know that I really wasn't feeling that. Nor what episode where Batman was infected with some kind of virus where he thinks like he turned to a vampire and starts infecting other members of the Justice League International, and it's up to like Martian Manhunter to uh, utilize the sun in order to vaporize them all, but it was all in his head. It was okay. I'm pretty sure it was like around Halloween time when that episode first debuted. But it kind of reminded me of that episode in The Batman where Hugo Strange infected Batman and Robin, thinking that the whole city was infected by zombies, but it was them who's like thinking that something was wrong with thinking that something wrong with everybody else. Was just those two, and they had to be the ones to be cured. Uh, it was a fine episode, and this is a fine episode, but it's not like really something that I personally cared for. Um, but the introduction to Hal Jordan and going up against Star Sapphire, which you know when I was like young kid before this show was even exist. Like I seen Star Sapphire in Justice League Unlimited, but I never knew until months later that that was Carol Danvers, not to be confused with no Carol Ferris because Ferris Air, because the whole Carol and Carol thing. But it took me a minute to realize, like, oh, that's his love interest, but with a ring of her own. Uh, but uh, I it was a fun episode. I was gonna put it like that. It's a great episode. Good introduction to Hal Jordan, and I like those moments. First of all, I like the misdirect because this little reporter at Ferris Air, that's like, you know, uh, seemingly the same features as Star Sapphire, but it was a little misdirect. Even going so far as having Star Sapphire dress her up as her to fool Batman and Green Lantern. But I also like, like, here's the thing, it's kind of confusing to me. Why he's having Hal test out the engines and vehicles, the Bat vehicles, to test out its performance and the engines and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, like, you own a company that can do this. Well, of course, like, you don't want to let the people know, like Bruce Wayne, just because Bruce Wayne's company invented the thing, doesn't want anybody like knowing all that other stuff. But you got like somebody like Lucius Fox who can on the DL test this kind of stuff. Or if you want Hal Jordan involved, you want him to test all this stuff for you, have him come to Gotham, because clearly y'all know each other's secret identities. You can have him come to Gotham, rent out a space so you can test drive all this stuff, rather than involving Ferris Air, where nobody else besides Hal Jordan knows who your identity is. That is very weird. And Hal makes some kind of crack about Batman paying them to test drive all this stuff. It's like, why would Batman be paying you? It's like, unless he's handing you like a briefcase full of money, he can't write a check. I know it's like a throwaway thing, it's very nitpicky, but it's like, Batman can't pay nobody just outright. And why you get like a government official airbase involved in testing out Bat vehicles? You think nobody would be any lick of suspicious and trying to look into? It's just, it's a dumb move just to try to get a reason to Hal Jordan to be involved in that particular episode and get Carol Ferris involved. Like I said, you could have had like a myriad of things to get them involved without like this big kind of plot hole. I don't want to say it's like a plot hole, but it's like a very ignorant thing for Batman to do if you want to maintain your secret identity. But I do like the moment because you can, this is like one of my favorite interpretations of Batman, because unlike most interpretations, like specifically the comics for the most part, Keith's Batman is so standoffish and not. It wasn't until maybe like, I think they, in the comics in the past handful of years, they've been course correcting that kind of thing. Whereas like Batman's, barely wants to interact with the superhero community because he's such a loner. But it's like, dude, you built up a large friend group, superpower friend group, people with resources that you won't have access to, people with connects that you won't have access to help you with the war on crime and stuff like that, and protecting the world and things of that nature. and like by and large, you became friends with them. You gotta act like it. You can't act like it's something. Because during like DC Rebirth, Batman Rebirth, there was like a situation where like a plane is literally about to crash into the city, and his first instinct is to call like trying to get in contact with Wonder Woman or Superman, somebody with or a Green Lantern, like somebody with added power that can easily um, get this aircraft from crashing into the city. Of course, it was saved by a Deus Ex Machina of like one-off hero slash villains that never popped up ever again after that entire arc was done, or at least when DC Rebirth was completely wrapped up. Uh, Gotham and Gotham Girl, which they turned kind of psychos and they lost their powers and not really a thing anymore. It's kind of like a waste. But anyway, uh, it's just like, yeah. And then with the whole failsafe arc a year or so ago, whereas robot Terminator thing that Batman of Zur-En-Arrh created to defeat Batman in case he seemingly crossed the line and murder somebody and go out, try to take this guy down. And Batgirl calls the Justice League because, yes, why would you not call your super friends? And here in Brave and the Bold, he interacts almost on a daily basis with many types of heroes with extraordinary skills and gifts. That it's like, yeah, they're your friends. Uh, but I say all that because I think because I like this interpretation. I like when Batman interacts with the superhero community because comics been around for a very long time. Batman's been around since the 40s or 30s. Uh, so he had time to interact with many heroes and have many adventures. So he has no reason to treat like, oh, I don't trust Superman. He's an alien. It's like, stop it. You two are the best of friends. Stop it. There's enough of that crap. Uh, but here it's like he interacts with them in spades. But I think after his ordeal, because I think maybe in the first season he was a little bit more standoffish because some characters like Blue Beetle kind of mocked him for not like being like you know personal. It's very broody and stuff like that. Uh, After his ordeal with the whole crime syndicate and how Owlman was a lot more uh close with his comrades, even though they're villains, but he is like Batman and Owlman are opposites of each other. Uh, he's more personal and friends with his comrades, while Batman's pretty much like so much of a loner. He, you know, he doesn't interact with them outside of work. If he, you know, if he needs assistance, he call him up or whatever like that. But it's not like he really have like a beer with them or anything like that, or just to hang out. And maybe that has something to do with Ted Kord, because from flashbacks I've seen that he seems probably a little bit more close to Ted Kord because they're pretty much cut from the same cloth. Where in terms of their interest in technology and fighting crime, without superpowers and protecting their respective cities, it's like their interactions, like how, you know, their particular gadgets work. It's like, how do you solve for the heat fallout? Oh, I just compensate for this and that and the other. Oh, how'd you, solve for I try to get my grapnel to work, but it goes all over the place. And oh, I solved this by solving X, and they just like they just bounce ping pong right off each other. And after losing Ted Kord, while battling Ted's uncle, I think that kind of formed in Batman's head at that time to, you know, don't get too close to people because he already lost his parents. Now he lost his obvious best friend. So he is that kind of, you can make the argument, okay, that he really kind of retreats whenever that kind of thing happens because obviously there's a trigger for him. But after his adventures, dealing with the crime syndicate and how Owlman's relationship with his friends were, I gotta be, I had to utilize my resources. I gotta, not be so standoffish with my comrades because they're here to help and they're not a nuisance kind of thing. At least that's how I take it as far as like his overarching thing with Batman. So yeah, in the episode was Hal Jordan, going back to that. I like when while they're taking on Green Lantern's little rogues, a couple of his rogues, like the Tattoo Man, he's like literally having a conversation with Batman, and Batman notices how Hal is I won't say mistreating, but kind of ignoring or giving the time of day for Carol that she needs, and he literally dealing with villains, and he on the sidelines telling House like, "Look, you keep running off, and you expect her to be there when you come back. One day she won't be there anymore." And it's a little heart to heart. Like I said, Batman needs to do more of this. I think, in many different interpretations of Batman, if he's interacting with the superhero community, he needs to behave like this. Like you have some history with these people where you can be comfortable having these types of conversations, like this heart to heart. Like, look, dude, take it from experience. Like Batman had many relationships. Some didn't work out, more worse than others. But do not let this job push away something that could be long lasting. Because it won't always be here. Time is very precious. I like that little dynamic. It was like a very fun episode. It's one of like my favorite episodes out of this season. But then you get like another awesome episode where the introduction of the, like the big three: Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman, and we get to see fun moments where they each take down their respective arch nemesis, like Cheetah, Lex Luthor, and Joker. And you get to see once again Batman interacting with these people that are his friends. Every once in a while, these three go to this diner that they know, and they have like a burger, fries, and a milkshake. Of course, Diana wanted to eat a little bit more healthy, and they just order for her the same food they're getting because, like, look, you'll work it off. Come on. But I like that. It's like they just like a fun trio. And you get to see like their villains decide to team up, but not only team up, but trade partners, because they've been battling their respective enemies for so long. They know they're pretty much some weird, not friendship, but they know each other kind of intimately to a certain degree. If you constantly battle with them, it pretty much like you know each other's MO. So, in order to ultimately defeat them, they decide, okay, let's trade dancing partners, because they won't know how to interact with the other. Kind of try to throw them off their game. So Joker goes after Diana. Lex goes after Batman. and Cheetah goes after Superman. Now, at first, I'm like, okay, Cheetah, what's she gonna do against Superman? But her power is kind of mystical, in terms of how she became Cheetah. But she also had like uh, kryptonite laced nails, so she can actually put up like a decent fight against Superman. And for the time being, they got uh uh of course it's like, yeah, they get the upper hand for a short period, but lo and behold, these villains start bickering amongst each other because each one wants the glory of taking down uh these heroes. However, they don't want the other to take down their respective hero because they don't want to lose the credit. That's the thing. They don't want to lose the credit. There's no way Cheetah will allow Lex or Joker to take down Wonder Woman because she wants she wants that glory. Similar to how Lex feels about Superman and Joker about Batman. So they start bickering amongst each other. The other three heroes get away and they stop them. But it's a great episode. Uh, and when there's like a Batman teaming up with Superman episode, that episode is the introduction of the red kryptonite. And from growing up watching Smallville, and I mentioned this before, I like the type of red kryptonite that just makes Superman lose his inhibitions and he just, you know, caters to his darker side and his negative emotions. I like that interpretation. And that should be like the standard for red kryptonite in all its aspects through comics, video games, whatever. But in most comics, they kind of leave it up in the air. And it's like, oh, you can make Kryptonian lose their inhibitions, but they can also make their skin translucent or whatever. And it's like, no, just Smallville kind of set the standard, which a lot of people kind of, by and large, very much like, and is simple to understand too. Whereas like red kryptonite allow, forces the Kryptonian to follow into their darker side, kind of thing. As a matter of fact, Smallville did a great job with all its interpretation of types of kryptonite. But gold kryptonite removes Kryptonian powers permanently. There's a whole thing in pre-crisis with the pink kryptonite making Kryptonian gay. It was just that part is still stupid. They never really reintroduced that ever again. Thank goodness, because that honestly was A, insulting back in the day, and B, that will not play out so well if you try to use that in this day and age. To like for example, if they try to write a Supergirl comic where somebody used a pink kryptonite on her, and then all of a sudden you get Supergirl making out with some random chick she's just friends with, oh boy, people will be in an uproar and contention starts flying, and it'll become a huge thing. So it's kind of like going to leave that alone. But there's like the black kryptonite. I think separates like your good half from your dark half. Then there's a silver kryptonite that makes you hallucinate and super paranoid, which is actually a pretty fun concept. But like, thank God for Smallville. They really knew how to utilize kryptonite in very good ways. Then it's like a Time Out for Vengeance. which the episode is kind of based on the Grant Morrison story of the return of Bruce Wayne, where after Darkseid hits Batman with some Omega beams, kind of sends him back in time, and he's kind of like a, I don't know, like a living time bomb or something like that, where he just, skips in different timelines where he's a caveman, then a pirate, and colonial America, and things of that sort. It was a whole thing. I don't remember reading that because I didn't really care for it. Some say it was good, but it's like I didn't care for it. I don't, you know, I don't know specifically what my mindset was, but I did not care for that concept. Maybe I'll read it at some point because it kind of leads into this whole thing with like DC Metal, which DC Metal is one of my favorite Justice League events. But the writer, I'm pretty sure it's Tom King. I could be wrong, but took what happened with the return of Bruce Wayne and kind of utilized that, like, okay, this is what I can do with this, and it's brought it into making this big, larger story. I don't want to get too in the weeds about it, but that return of Bruce Wayne kind of like sparked with the whole situation with Barbados and DC Metal. So it's just Rip Hunter and Justice League International stop Equinox's followers. Those Equinox kind of started like some kind of cult following, and they want to take their revenge on Batman from stopping their leader. So they end up erasing different Batman from across time. At least different incarnations of Batman throughout time, which is kind of weird. It's like, well, I guess in this particular episode, it's not our specific Batman skipping out through time. It's just somebody who happened to wear the mantle of a bat, but it still didn't make any sense if it's not specifically Bruce Wayne. It's just some random caveman who just dons some kind of bat garb or like a headdress thing in a club, and then some pirate, donning some type of bat thing. And it's like none of that would have been in the hit. Well, doubt with the caveman thing, but it's like you start from like pirates moving forward. You'll think like, okay, some historical accounts will have something like that, so it wouldn't make any freaking sense. But whatever, it's still a decent episode. Then you get like a episode with Scooby-Doo, which is not really all that fun in my opinion, but it's just these little vignettes. Where like Batman teams up with Flash to stop Captain Boomerang, or like the whole thing with Creature Commandos, which now they're starting to get like a real big deal thanks to James Gunn. And honestly, it's like you can easily pick. You don't have to. If you learn anything from the MCU in the past handful of years, you don't have to watch every little thing just to see you can, everything aligns correctly. They should have made a point to, since Endgame, when they started this new saga, make sure all their ducks in a row so everything could align, in like a perfect puzzle. But they didn't. So now you, at this point in the game, you don't have to watch every little thing. But maybe they getting their butts in gear now, so who knows? But for the time being, you don't really have to watch every little thing. Not every little thing needs to. If you're not feeling it, you don't have to really watch it. For the overall grand scheme of things to make sense to you. It's like Creature Commandos is like one of those things. It's like, yeah, I can skip that. It's kind of like Agent of the Shield. Ultimately, it didn't really do anything in the overall narrative of Phase 2 and 3, aside from the whole Civil War situation. But and the Winter Soldier situation. But that's just like writers behind the scenes, TV show showrunners behind the scenes not working in tandem with Kevin Feige. And it's like, God, you guys got your egos involved. This is the whole thing. It could have been spectacular to see, Daisy Johnson and Melinda May and, a couple of people, especially Ghost Rider, getting involved into the end game of things, because they were very much involved into the grand scheme of the story of the Infinity Saga, getting into the end game. So it would have been nice to, get them involved, because they contributed. They should have that respect. At the at least to some degree, they deserve like some level of respect. But anyway, you got episode where the Justice League International is meeting the Justice Society for the first time at the Watchtower, some kind of powwow or like a mixer. Well, it's supposed to be hosted by Batman and Martian Manhunter, but Batman's dealing with Ra's al Ghul, trying to stop his machinations, and we get to see him and Talia kind of like, team up a bit. And she had to stop and make out with him too, because, they had like a thing. Well, these two different teams are like kind of butting heads a bit. And of course, the Justice Society is kind of looking down on the International, because they see so unconventional, because like, I thought it was the other leagues, like clearly the Justice League and not the League International. And they get like, ugh, God, it's just like a room full of B-listers. And it's like, dang. And then of course, well, aside from Guy Gardner, everybody else looks at the Justice Society and like, wow, you guys are awesome. You guys started all this, especially Blue Beetle, who's kind of fanboying out. But my favorite dynamic is between Guy Gardner and Alan Scott, where they both kind of chewing each other out in terms of their weaknesses, which I don't think is the case anymore with Alan Scott anymore, because Guy Gardner, jokes, teases Alan Scott about his weakness to wood. It's like, so what happens if somebody come at you with a pointy stick? Same thing happens if I paint it yellow. That always stuck with me, because that was like, God, that was so freaking funny. That was a well-timed comedic moment where they long since kind of do away with the whole weakness to yellow thing for the Green Lanterns. But in terms of Alan Scott Green Lantern being weak to wood, I'm pretty sure they've done away with that weakness as well, because that was like a thing back in like the 40s. It was like like some kind of critical weakness because some rogue Guardian way back in time that went to Earth and misused his powers, and so the Guardians, cause, as a punishment, made that particular lantern he had a weakness to wood. So people back then who was coming at him with clubs passed through his defenses and beat him to death. So since then, that particular lantern Alan Scott found and gave him his awesome powers, but it still had the weakness tied to it. So not sure if that weakness is still in play. I doubt it. But they all like eventually come together after they kind of like cause this big food fight. And of course, Martian Manhunter is just kind of stress eating cookies because he's trying to get everything under control, but he's waiting on Batman to help him, but he's all by himself. And of course, I like Fire and Ice, but Ice more specifically because, Fire is from Brazil and Ice is from Sweden, and they're like supermodels or something like that as their like day job, from what I remember. I don't know if they changed it, after all these years. But Ice is just so like naive and funny. And she always mentions about just having pie because it's like that solves everything. She's just wonderfully, naive. It's so funny. But they all team up when they get Batman's distress signal, and they come help stop Ra's al Ghul and the League of Assassins from launching missiles. But it was an awesome episode. But yeah, the way the season ends with like a nice little send off from Batman and all the characters, every character, good and bad, they all there to say their goodbyes and thanks for watching the series, and whenever it's crime, we'll always be there to stop it. Things like that. So it was a nice little send off. My only complaint really is they could have done like aside from a few episodes that I mentioned, they could have done like a better overarching narrative where they had like a few one-off episodes, but overarching there's like a massive threat that requires all the Justice League of America, Justice Society, and Justice League International all teaming up to stop a major threat, and it's a nice little send off from there. Even Batman, you can still have Batman involved where he's literally commentating on this situation and watching it from the fifth dimension, and cheering them on. Batman is the audience, and he could have done something like that, and not these little vignette episodes in the last two parts. In the last two episodes, these little small vignettes. It's like, come on, man. You could have done a better job with like giving like if you're going out with a bang, if you're going to go out with a bang. Make sure you give us like a stellar arc of a season, because maybe you kind of blew that shot because of that wasted Darkseid episode. It wasn't wasted; it's still fun, but it's just like he was like a big deal. You could have just utilized him. Maybe they didn't know that there was going to be like the third season was going to be like a final season until season 2 already wrapped up, and they utilized Darkseid at that point. But man, you kind of blew your load on that one. Could have done a lot, but it's not a terrible season. Just like in the Batman series, season 3 is not a terrible season, but they could have done a better job and make sure there's some kind of overarching narrative to work with underneath a couple of one-off episodes. So yeah, it's definitely the lackluster one compared to the other 2 seasons. But anyway, that was Brave and the Bold. That was my thoughts. That's, not every Batman show, and there will be more Batman shows in the future. But so far, this is the last one I'm covering for a long while. So the next TV show reviews that will be coming out will be My Hero Academia anime, because they only did 7 seasons so far. So, like I said, I already did the first season, which is already up on my channel. It's been up there for a good couple of years, and I haven't gone back to My Hero Academia in a while. So now I'm going to cover season 2 all the way to 7, because that's what's available to us in the US. And then after that, I don't know. I'm thinking about getting back into Pokemon after I'm done with My Hero Academia. That's what I'm thinking. Because I'm been wanting to get back into rewatching Pokemon episodes. But mind you, there's been a lot. And I might have to take a break here and there because there's so much Pokemon. Like, matter of fact, I'm thinking like, okay, let me cover like the Kanto region with the Indigo League and the Orange Islands. And then, I don't know. I'll figure something out because this is a lot. Because I can skip a couple of filler episodes here and there, so I can, pretty much stick to mostly the point. Except if there's like a filler episode like I really like, I'll still watch it. But you know what I mean? Because I want to get back into rewatching some Pokemon episodes because it's been many years since I watched some classic Pokemon, and of course with Ash's story pretty much done at this point after the whole Sun and Moon situation. It'd be fun to just revisit like the Pokemon series. So anyway, I will see you guys in a few minutes because I have a comic book review that I finally wrapped up. It's Fantastic Four: Heroes Reborn. So look forward to that. And then what else? What else I got? and then reacting to another video game cutscenes of Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 for at least maybe like the first half. If it's like, at least 2 hours or so of, just pure cutscenes. We'll see. We'll probably have to chop it up a bit. Anyway, I'll see you guys in a little while. Take care. And let me know in the comments below what was your favorite episodes out of the Brave and the Bold series, or your least favorite, and how would you rank the seasons. I'll see you all soon. Take care.